So the overall concept we're working on is describing character, setting, and plot, but I wanted to zone in and focus on one for right now, which we're working on describing characters. We're going to work on this, then we'll work on setting, and then we'll work on plot, and then we're going to put it all together, okay? Describing characters is so important because by focusing on one character and identifying, traits, motivations, how they feel, what they do, that's going to help us understand the story a little better. It's going to help us to focus on why things happen in the story and then the sequence of how things happen. Because if a character does this, this is probably the next thing that's going to happen. So we're going to read Voting for Her Rights, and then we will do, this looks very similar to what we did yesterday. Okay, we did the pictures, but today we're reading a story and filling this out, and then there is a short answer for us to do. Okay, so let's read Voting for Her Rights. Susan B. Anthony was about to do something dangerous. She stood before a group of women listening to her speak. "We must vote," she told them. "We must all vote." The crowded room filled with noise as some women cheered and others began to argue. "We could be arrested," one woman cried. It was true, because in 1872, only men had the right to vote. Susan said, "We likely will be arrested and put on trial. But don't you see, we have to do it. How else will we show how much we want our voting rights?" Susan marched off the stage and led the women outside. Together, they went to a polling place where men were voting for president. An election worker stopped Susan. "Madam," he said, "I can't let you vote." "But you must," Susan replied. "The law says that all persons born in this country are citizens, and citizens are allowed to vote." The worker looked at the group of determined women and sighed. "Very well," he said. Susan's friends let out a cheer. Susan entered the voting booth and cast her vote. So did 15 other women, including 3 of her sisters. 2 weeks later, Susan and the others were all arrested for voting. But Susan wasn't about to give up her fight for women's rights. Okay, so first thing, underline sentences that tell why Susan thought fighting for rights was important. Why did she think it was so important? Well, I saw one up here that says, "We likely will be arrested and put on trial, but don't you see, we have to do it. How else will we show how much we want our voting rights?" Okay, she's willing to get arrested to prove how much voting means to her and women's rights mean to her. Okay, there's one. Another one said is that she told him, she said, "I am a citizen. I was born in this country. All citizens are allowed to vote." Okay, she thought that was really important, that everybody who is a citizen has the right to vote. Okay, then at the end, I thought this was really important. Because she was arrested for voting, she still wasn't going to give up her fight for women's rights. Okay, so these are all important to our character. So she was a fighter, she was determined, she was willing to fight for women's rights. Okay, let's complete this chart. We did one very similar yesterday. So let's complete it over Susan B. Anthony. We have our character here in the middle, and it branches off into these categories. So our first category is traits. I will do one. I would like you to also fill in another trait. One trait that I know Susan had, and it said in the story, was that she was very determined. Okay, I can describe Susan B. Anthony as being determined. She sought out to do what she wanted to do. She didn't let anything stop her. A motivation. So a motivation would be, what did she want to do? What did she feel was right to do? And the one thing that I'm going to put is that she thought it was important to fight for women's rights. What else did she do? Okay, what was this whole story about? Okay, what was her motivation in this story? Okay, feelings. How did she feel throughout this story? Well, one feeling that I'm going to say is that she was mad. She was furious. A woman did not have the same rights as women or as men. I'm going to end this video because it's going to cut me out short, and then I'll start another one.